nobody can take that.
Had to wear the Kronk merch. Shout out Kronk. So first session is strength. We're basically going to be doing some explosive weights. High intensity, short amount of time. We're working on our sprint systems.
Well, if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the f is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm.
Anthony Joshua is shown training with steady focus as he prepares for his matchup with Jake Paul. His sessions highlight strength work, movement drills, and a calm, controlled confidence as he sharpens every part of his game. On the other side, Jake Paul is also putting in serious work, determined to prove he belongs in the ring with a top-tier fighter. The build-up captures both men grinding in their camps, raising anticipation over how this unusual and highly discussed matchup will unfold.
Now I've seen his body already evolve into something totally different. I've seen his conditioning evolve into something different, and more importantly, his understanding of his body and why he's doing things the way he's doing them. That's the most important.
Inside his training camp, Anthony Joshua works with full confidence, knowing he carries a major advantage over Jake Paul. Despite that belief, he pushes himself relentlessly each day, intent on making a statement. His mission is simple: step in the ring, dominate decisively, and silence all the noise coming from Jake's side.
That's all that matters.
Because early on, if you look for power, you waste energy, then that power evaporates. When they're tired, you ain't got the power to take them out, so you've got to open up in the gap for no reason. So just relax, flow.
Just pop off
Good
that
feet,
reach.
you were saying.
Just pop off that reach. And any time you move, that should be that, that should be that, yeah? And then the control's down the middle, all right?
Yeah, yeah. That's what
Control, smooth, relax, relax, relax. Last minute, mate, that'll do you then. Uppercut. Good. Right hand. Good. 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 Left hook high. Good. Uppercut high.
Eddie Hearn explains that the financial offer presented to Anthony Joshua was simply too massive to turn down, especially at this stage of his career. Joshua has already accomplished nearly everything a heavyweight could dream of, so taking a high-paying fight becomes a strategic move rather than a desperate one. Hearn emphasizes that boxing has always been about prize money as much as legacy. When a fighter gets a huge payday for a matchup he can manage without excessive risk, it's a smart and practical decision. He adds that Joshua isn't doing anything unusual, he's taking advantage of the opportunities available. Turning down easy money, especially when it aligns with training, timing, and career direction, isn't something any realistic fighter would do. According to Hearn, Jake Paul offering such a massive purse opened a door Joshua naturally stepped through, because boxing is also a business.
Mike Coppinger, that one's in the works and looking likely for December. What can you tell?
Yeah, not yet. I mean, there has been conversations, obviously. I think it comes down to how true, they are. Jake Paul is that he actually wants to fight. I mean, he's a madman if he wants to fight. But for some reason, and he thinks he can beat AJ. And I have to be honest, we were going to have a run out in December, over 8 rounds against a bloke you've never heard of. And we may end up having a run out against Jake Paul for a career high payday. I don't see how we can turn it down.
When I asked you about it a couple of days ago, you said that at that time you never really got into the financials. Have those been discussed now? Have you discussed the financial element?
Yeah, there has been some conversations around that, and it is, it's a huge amount of money. And I think AJ would be mad if he didn't do it, and I think he will do it if Jake Paul is genuine. We may wake up tomorrow with these people and they've announced another fight. Honestly, anything could happen. So I still can't get my head around the fact that this guy wants to challenge AJ. There's some respect to him if it's true, but we shall see.
Two to end on that note, I spoke to Alfie Sharman earlier. He said that himself or DAZN have had no conversations about AJ potentially taking that fight. Obviously AJ is exclusive to DAZN. What's the situation with regards to that? Because I know there's one here.
The fight's done. Obviously it's not done because those conversations have to take place. I'm very confident that I can have some positive conversations with DAZN. Obviously we'll be on a clock, but it's a 50-50.
Last one from me. I saw Chris McKenna tweeted that Anthony Joshua currently doesn't have a British Boxing Board of Control licence. Obviously, it's not unusual for someone who isn't fighting currently.
Experts point out that Joshua's resume already includes battles with some of the most dangerous heavyweights of this era. Even after a 14-month layoff, they say the experience gap between him and Jake Paul is enormous. Joshua spent years facing champions, knockout artists, and elite competitors, tests social media-driven fighters have never experienced. While inactivity can affect any boxer, analysts insist Joshua's fundamentals, power, reach, and ring IQ still give him a commanding advantage. They add that Joshua's past defeats don't lower his standing in this matchup because the caliber of his opposition far surpasses anything Jake Paul has faced. Their conclusion is clear: even after time away, Joshua's tools are more than enough to control the fight and dominate on his terms.
Just to clarify, I don't class Otto Wallin as a very competitive fight. Every competitive fight that AJ is in from now until the end of his career, and has been in for the last few years, I believe has taken something out of him. Every time he's in a competitive fight, even when he's won, and I'm not saying taken out of him to the extent where he's no longer a good fighter, no longer can do anything, but every single one has taken one out of him. So let's say, for example, you go down the Tony Yoka route and you can sell it as the 2 Olympic gold medalists and whatever. It's a lose-lose, mate. You're expected to knock him out. If you don't, then you go the distance. I think that's going to take something out of you. I actually think that this could be better prep for a Tyson Fury fight. Not just
mentally as well, because he smokes him and it looks great, and then he's confident.
This is what I'm saying, right? Not just from a stylistic boxing standpoint, but from the mental standpoint of the fact that if you go in there and you smoke Jake Paul, straight away, all of a sudden, it's headline news, it's massive, and as well as that, you're coming in off the back of something that's impressive, right? We all felt like the Francis Ngannou performance was really impressive, but it wasn't followed up with an impressive performance. So it doesn't actually determine whether or not...
This is worse. This is worse. This is worse than that. I don't know what you're thinking, Lawrence, but the Ngannou one, you could at least say heavyweight. You could say that his pedigree. So we didn't really...
On the distance
while
of
he
Fury.
was coming from a different kind of method of fighting, end of the day, he's still a champion. We're talking about Jake Paul, guys.
Do you know what's mad? Can I just add something in before Loza jumps in? There are Americans, and I've heard them in the last 24 hours, giving Jake Paul a better chance than Francis Ngannou, saying he has the boxing experience. Francis Ngannou didn't have enough boxing experience. Because that's how Americans view this whole thing.
Well, no, Francis Ngannou did have more boxing experience than Jake Paul.
Well, yeah. But that's what they're saying is Francis Ngannou had 1 fight, Jake Paul's had 10, 12.
10 rounds, and you little say I'm licking his ass. 10 rounds of Tyson Fury, yeah, will get...
Adam Catterall strongly criticizes the decision to sanction the fight rather than make it an exhibition. He argues that turning it into a full professional contest puts Jake Paul in serious danger because Joshua's natural heavyweight power is unlike anything Paul has encountered. Catterall explains that exhibitions allow more safety and controlled pacing, but a real fight removes all those safeguards. He questions whether Jake Paul truly understands the power behind a heavyweight punch, especially from someone with Joshua's size, experience, and pedigree. He believes this matchup crosses into dangerous territory, warning that while fans might enjoy the spectacle, stepping into an official fight with a former world champion is a completely different universe from YouTube-level bouts.
£70 million, maybe to add to the 150 he's already got. Why wouldn't he do it? Because why would he want to maybe for 5 or 10 million fight Fabio Wardley, who's dangerous, Itoma, who's dangerous? Surely from an AJ point of view, it makes sense.
Makes sense. From any fighter's point of view, it makes sense because you're in... Listen, belts don't pay your mortgage, do they? And I know he's got a lot of dough anyway, but 70 million... If someone's going to throw you 70 million quid to fight a lad that struggled and lost to Tommy Fury, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Yep.
So from AJ's point of view, I completely get that. From Jake Paul's point of view, you're leveraging your audience in the world of boxing and making a ton of cash fighting the former 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world. Mate, most boxing fans would bite your hand off at that opportunity, especially if you're throwing 70 million quid in the pot as well. I've no problem with the promoters. My problem is that it can't be a legitimate fight. Let's be dead honest about this, right?
Eddie Hearn said it will be.
Listen, there is no commission on the planet that can authorise that fight. It's a 2-time unified heavyweight world champion, still in his athletic prime. You just said he's 36. We're not talking Mike Tyson age of 50-odd here now, are we? Olympic gold medalist. He's had 13 world title fights as AJ. 13 of them. Against the very best guys.
And could take his head off.
Like he done to Ngannou.
It is dangerous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely dangerous. Like I've just said, Jake Paul struggled with Tommy Fury. The levels between these two guys are ridiculous. The commissions cannot sanction that as a legitimate fight. There has to be a rule change. It has to be an exhibition. And then you can have a little bit of a move.
Hold on, Gab. Let's go back to proper boxing. I'm with Cats here. You know, this is
a big story, though.
Oh, listen, it's because it's AJ, because it's Jake Paul. It's going to
Analysts note that fans have been waiting for years to see Joshua face Tyson Fury, a matchup that has been teased repeatedly but never finalized. They say many people are confused about why Joshua is fighting Jake Paul instead of pushing for the long-awaited mega fight. But they explain that boxing politics, contract complications, and timing issues have made the Fury clash extremely difficult. In contrast, the Jake Paul fight was simple to arrange and came with immediate financial reward. They acknowledge fans' frustration but say Joshua is simply taking the path that makes the most sense right now. The Fury fight remains the dream, but boxing politics often push fighters in unexpected directions. Analyst Kazora adds that Joshua's power is a real concern because once Joshua lands a clean shot, the fight could be over instantly. He stresses that Paul has never been hit by someone with heavyweight level force, making the likely outcome very clear.
In the coming days, and now it looks very much like it's going to be Jake Paul, the controversial figure. Whatever you think about him, he makes a lot of money, huge views, sells fights, but he was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis. That is not happening, and now he's potentially facing one of the biggest names in heavyweight boxing. Whenever you mention the name Anthony Joshua, people are interested, and of course the fight people still want to see is Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury, and that's the dream fight which Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren and Turki Al-Sheikh are trying to make next year. But Eddie Hearn has said we need Anthony Joshua back in that ring. He's not been in the ring since losing to Daniel Dubois in devastating fashion at Wembley Stadium last year. But if he'd have said that time ago that his next fight would be Jake Paul, not a single person on this planet would believe me. But it does look like now that Anthony Joshua, the former world champion, is about to face Jake Paul in a month's time.
Mate, it's a great thing, so we can just shut that Jake Paul nonsense away. AJ's gonna knock him out.
Would it be similar, do you think, to the way AJ knocked out Francis Ngannou? Because Eddie Hearn's just said about the rage maybe AJ.
It'll be worse. It'll be worse. It'll be worse.
1 round?
1 round. But if he goes past 3 rounds, we don't know what's gonna happen.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. If AJ goes in there trying to mess around, trying to show his boxing skills, nah. He's gonna go in there and light him out. That's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, is it something you'd love to see as well? I know. I mean, you've known AJ for a
we're
while.
all gonna be tuning in to watch it. That is it. There's nothing else.
Tommy Fury reacts by comparing his own experience fighting Jake Paul with what Joshua represents. He says that if he was able to defeat Paul, then Joshua, a far stronger, bigger, and more accomplished boxer, would have no difficulty whatsoever. Fury insists this matchup is not about skill comparison but about levels in the sport. He believes Paul is stepping into territory he is completely unprepared for, and that Joshua's physical presence alone will cause problems from the very first second. Drawing from his own fight with Paul, Tommy says he knows Paul's strengths and weaknesses, and based on that, he's certain Joshua would dominate easily. With Joshua's size, technical ability, and heavyweight power, Fury sees no scenario where Paul can stay competitive without being overwhelmed.
Safety aspect. There's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago. And now all of a sudden, he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious.
Allen continues expressing concern, saying this is not a fight Jake Paul can take lightly. He highlights Joshua's timing, strength, and ability to change a fight instantly. Allen warns that Paul may not fully understand the level of pressure an elite heavyweight can apply. He explains that once Joshua begins to push forward, the contest could change dramatically, and the risks become very real, especially given the mismatch in size and experience. He also notes that Jake Paul has already been beaten by Tommy Fury, a much smaller and less experienced fighter compared to Joshua.
He's dangerous for one. And 2, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua, it's ridiculous, it's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him, and I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect from when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect from Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion of mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more?
David Hay reflects on boxing's unpredictability, acknowledging that although Joshua is the heavy favorite, anything can happen in the ring. He warns against underestimating opponents, regardless of their background. Hay says Joshua must stay focused and avoid assuming the fight will be effortless because boxing can produce surprises. He adds that although Joshua is older now, he is still extremely strong, technically sound, and far from being in decline. If Joshua stays disciplined, Hay believes the fight will quickly reveal the difference between a seasoned heavyweight and a developing crossover fighter.
It was really close, and then it was Jake and Tank, and now that's off for other reasons. Your initial reaction to the fact that December Miami might be on?
Yeah, jumping from Gervonta Davis all the way up to Anthony Joshua seems absurd. It doesn't seem like it's a reality.
Seems very Jake Paul.
But you know, sometimes these crazy things. Who would have ever thought Francis Ngannou would get a shot against Tyson Fury? When we first started talking about it, it's like that's never going to happen. And when it did, we saw Tyson Fury have a very, very tough night, get knocked down and scrape through on points. Anything's possible in boxing. I think the chances of Jake Paul beating Anthony Joshua, I don't know, he's got a very, very low chance. I can't see any way that Jake Paul can win a boxing match with 10, 12-ounce gloves on with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, you know, world champion, silver medalist, Olympic gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion. He's a top 10, top 5 in some people's arguments, heavyweight, and he hasn't gone that far over the hill. He's not Mike Tyson, nearly 60 years old. I can't see it happening, but if it can happen and AJ wants it, then obviously it's going to be a massive, massive payday as well as a massive spectacle. It'll be an absolute crush box office numbers, and unfortunately for Jake, that will be potentially his last fight in boxing if that first bell rings.
I know your friend Derek had a few things to say about it last night, and he said AJ's got 3 rounds, and that's not that if it goes past 3, AJ's going to lose, but if it goes past 3, his quote was, people are going to go, what are you doing?
It depends how
he can't go past 3.
It depends how he goes past 3 rounds. He could go out there and play with him and soften him up and make him look silly, or he could go out there try and not.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for the next update.